Hey guys, thanks for stopping by and watching. I tried to find a model that was close to giving you an example of where you're running into your issue of IDing, applying your texture through UVW unwrapping. So let's get started. I'm going to select this model, and as you can see, when I select polygon and scroll down to check my IDs, I'll select ID 1, and as you can see, ID 1 is the trunk of the tree and its roots. Well, I don't want my roots to have the same ID because the trunk of the tree is vertical, and then for the just for the most part the roots are horizontal. So right now, if I check my material editor, my multi-sub object shows that I have 10 IDs. Well, I have 12 pieces to this that essentially would be ID'd, and I'm going to change and set that number to 12, and that's the number I counted based on the 4 roots and then the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 branches. Okay, and then 8 would be, of course, or 1 would be this trunk. So now that I've added 12 numbers, I'm going to close my material editor for now. I'm going to select each branch. I'm going to start at the top and just start numbering because we know the trunk, we want it to be 1, and then I'll just start from the top and count down. So what I will do is, while I'm in polygon, select this first trunk, first branch rather, excuse me, and that's 2, so that's great. And then I'm going to select this one, the second one down, which is going to be 3, and as you can see, it's still ID 2, so I'm going to set that to 3 and hit enter, and now it's 3, it's set to 3, as you can see based on what it changed to here. I'm going to keep going down. These are both even, but it doesn't matter. I'll just grab this one. I'm eyeballing this, by the way, but I'd prefer you to use your different views, so let's start doing that. So let me set this at 4. Let me come out of my maximize view. So basically, each time you check out which branch you want to select, let's go over here. I'm going to, now I'm eyeballing because I'm used to doing this, but check your views to make sure you have selected what you're selecting. And then this is going to be 5. This next one's going to be 6. Change it to 6. Set to 6. Now my numbers might be off. My count might be off. Let's go ahead, select this next branch. 7. Yeah, I think my count is off. Hold on. Eight. So let's see. Trunk is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Right, and then 9, 10, 11, 12. No, I'm good. And then the next one will be, I'll just grab this one here. That one will be 9. Okay, missed a few spots right there, as you can see. 10. $11. 12. So we'll check them again by selecting each one. So we'll say, we'll go to 1 and say, hey, select, actually, sorry, 1, select 1. 1 is our trunk. And actually, you know what? We actually need to number our bottom and our top there. So let's, and you know, we don't necessarily need to. We could just, you know, we could say, hey, it could just be an arbitrary thing that we just set aside, and I'll show you what that. I'll show you what I mean by that. Let's see. This bottom piece here, well, we could actually make this, let's check this ID. This one's 10. So if I select that piece, I can make that 10 as well. 0, sorry, 0 there. Hit enter, and now that's 10. So if I go back to 1, select ID, and then we've gotten rid of that piece and made it part of that root. Let's do that one as well. No, that's fine. We'll leave that one. We'll leave that one there. Okay, so we've got 1, then 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, right? And so that matches the number of multi-sub object IDs that we have. And here in our name, we can just say, you know, this will be the trunk. And this will be branch 1. What I'll do is I know the numbers are off, but ID and branch number don't coincide, but that's okay. We know what we're doing here. We know how we've numbered things. And then I want to say 9 was our root 1, root 2, root 3, and root 4. Now, we don't necessarily have to do the top and bottom unless we're literally doing something in the game where we have to see the bottom and top, but that's okay. We'll leave it like that. So now the question is, how are we going to apply each? You know, the look is what is the next thing that we're going to do. Is when we apply the texture to the branch and the and the trunk, of course there'll be a vertical and horizontal situation going on, and then we'll adjust accordingly based on the fact that the trunk is going to be larger and we want that to be a larger bark look, and then the branches will be smaller, and so the bark will look smaller, and we'll get to that in a second. So let's go ahead and find a texture. I should already have one in there, so let me make sure I have. So I'm going to select the material, and let me go back up to the parent to show you again. I'm selecting the material 25, which is what you would do if you were doing a standard, but in this case you have to go to each sub-material to apply that material to said ID. In this case I already had a black walnut bark detailed targa texture applied from another example I was working on, but I'm going to clear this, and then I'm going to go back to diffuse, go to bitmap, and select it again so that my paths are correct. And let's see if I can find my black bark. And so I did, and I have a number of them. And let's see, I am going to, let's do black bark 1. So we're going to change this, and we're going to do black bark 1. Now, when I show shaded material in viewport, you can see, and assign it, you can see that my bark has applied to the trunk of the tree. Okay. Now, some parts of this you can see some stretching going on. So we can try to correct this as much as we can by going to our next step, which is, and actually let's just go ahead and make sure we apply our texture to each ID, and then we'll get to the soup and nuts of, we're going to the second one, which is our branch now. I'm going to clear this, and I'm going to apply same bark. Let's go up, should be there, show, and assign, and there it is. And we'll keep doing. I'm going to pause and do this, and then we'll come back in a second. Okay, I'm just finishing up the last root, so I'm clicking on material number 36. It looks like your standard, of course, section. Again, choosing diffuse, clicking OK, bark 01, go to the parent, so I'm going up one level to show shaded material in viewport, and assign material to select to selection. And so that's it. So now we have everything applied. Of course, again, as you can see, there's some stretching and some messiness going on, and we'll correct that in a second. Let's close our material editor. Okay, and then now we're going to go to, we'll have to deselect polygon, and we're going to go to Unwrap UVW. Now we will open our UV editor, and let's take a look. So so the reason why we've got this stretching here is because there are two other things that we did not define, which was our bottom and top. So you know what, just for the sake of that, let's quickly, I'm going to go out of, get out of this. I'm going to close my editor. I'm going to right click on my layer here, my Unwrap UVW layer, collapse all, hold yes, that will hold all of the things that we've done to it so far. Well, we haven't really done anything, but anyway, that's the practice you should use. Let's go and select, I'm going to open up the material editor just to show you that we'll have to add on. Let's go back up to the parent. Oops. Let's go back up to the parent, and we're going to set these IDs, and we'll make it 14, just so we can have a top and bottom, right? So we'll say 14, and then what we're going to do is we're going to say, I'm going to select this top piece here, and as you can see, it already took on a covered itself on the top there, but that's okay. We're gonna go ahead and select it, and we're gonna call this top, and we're going to number it. It's been given ID 3, but we're going to set it to 13 for top, and then let's go right to the bottom. You know what? I'm going to go ahead and select this right here. Alt clicked this piece here to deselect that, and then we'll this is the bottom. Oops, I can spell bottom, and then set ID to 14, and now that's set to 14. Now we'll just quickly apply said material. Doesn't have to be. We could actually delete it altogether if we wanted to. It doesn't have to be that, but just for the sake of understanding this applying IDs, we'll do that. Efficiently, I would more than likely delete this whole bottom piece anyway, because you're not seeing it in the game, and unless you were going to lay this tree over on its side or something like that. Show shaded material in viewport, assign material to selected, and so that's 13, but let's go back up and we'll do 14. Diffuse, okay, bark, done, go to parent, and then we've applied it, assigned it, and now we'll go back and we'll begin our process. Let's close material editor, deselect polygon. Always deselect your selections, deselect any of those selections before you go into Unwrap UVW. Let's go back. Let's select our Open UV Editor, and actually we'll take care of this in a second. Okay, so in any event, we will select ID 1. Nope, we're not going to set. We're going to select ID 1, which is our bark. And let's double check everything here. I think we're good to go. And what we're going to do is because you can see the stretching here in the editor, that's why you're seeing a lot of the issues with the bark. We're going to scroll down in our settings here, and because we have a cylindrical shape here, we're going to select our projection. We're going to do a cylindrical map. Let's do a best fit of this. When we do our best fit, let's zoom in and take a look. Not too bad. Bark looks decent all the way down. Not too bad. It's not as detailed because it's applying the texture based on the length of this and what have you. And once we have that set, we'll deselect our cylindrical section here, and then we're going to move this out. So that is our bark there, and as you can see, while again it is not, now you can apply a UV, you can go into your UV map and detail each section of this so that it is much more detailed. But a quick rendering of this, a quick application of this is where we could actually, we can make it larger and apply it, and it becomes, and give me a second here and I'll show you what I mean. If we take it and let's see, what do we want? We want to, we'll increase the size, and as you can see, the detail becomes a lot clearer there, right? So we could, as you increase the size, and we'll do this, we'll move this out of the way because we'll have to move our other objects, and what we'll do is put them in a different place. So let's put them up here for now. What I'm going to do is move this one back over into the area where we can actually apply a larger application of said. Now again, you can adjust this in your UV map if you'd like. This is a quickie here just to show you. But and now I've increased the size of this in a way that is was not correct in size. As I increase the size, my scaling was not balanced here. So if I move inside our application area here and I increase this here, now I would eyeball this, right? So I would take this, and with this size here, oops, I would go ahead and eyeball what I would think would be oops. And it could be much better, and again, the UV map would can be used to increase the improve that. But in any event, I just want to give you a better idea of what you would be doing to wrap this around your object. Now, again, we would go to each ID and apply this to. So I would select 2 and it would be cylindrical, and in this case it is going to be on the X or maybe even the Y, but let's see, Y, nope, so X it is. Let's see if we can get us, let's do a best align, and then as you can see, now I just did a straightforward branch here, and some of this stuff is being affected, like the way I did not improve the edge of this, right? So I would need to improve the edge of this branch in order for it to work correctly. But if I deselect my cylindrical and move this over, not too bad. Again, the edge here could use some improving, but that's based on me improving this point, right? So I could probably do something like it. Now it's looking like it wants to be more of a plane, so I could take this off and do maybe something like that, do a plane, and as you can see, it's improved its look a little bit. And then I can deselect that, move it out, move it above, and there you have it. It's not super detailed, and we can go, and again, UV map would you can, now that would mean you would have to go to each face and improve that, or each section and improve that based on the ID you're working with. So I'll go ahead and keep going. I'm going to do each branch. You just saw the example there, and I'm going to pause and do each one of them. Now, finished unwrapping everything, and everything's not perfect. I mean, the tree is not perfect, so I wanted to use this tree as an example because it was created on the fly, and I did not think through the entire process of creating the tree, and that gives a relation to you as a new person to creating an object, and that way you can see the pitfalls of the way you create an object and the way you have to think about it before you create it, right? And how you need to realize that applying a texture to it is important. The way you create the object is important to even texturing something, because the more intricate it becomes and the more you begin to manipulate vertices, the difficulty of or the time it would take to texture the object, increases, because you'll have to do more detailed UV mapping of your object. So while this is textured, I mean, there are some flaws here that I would have to go back and correct. And essentially, I would more than likely just begin the tree again, start the tree over, and just create, do that. Now, for the sake of time and what have you, and I mean, the tree it's not the best looking tree, so yeah, I would begin again. But if I was told, hey, we're going to use this tree and we need to get it done, so then yeah, I would go back and detail out and detail each section to look a lot better. But again, as you can see, the texture has been applied. Like I said, there's some stretching and things going on because it wasn't the most efficient way to create a tree. But organic things, of course, are going to be more difficult than more mechanical or rigid objects, if you will. A robot will be easier to, for the most part, be easier to do without the issue of having your texturing applied, your UV applied materials being affected like this. In any event, I'm going to close the editor, the UV editor. I'm going to right click on my layer, my Unwrap UVW layer, collapse all, hold yes. Hold yes will save what has been unwrapped, the way you unwrapped it. So anytime you come back to open this model and go to UVW unwrapping, it will show the original way that it's been unwrapped. So that'll be all intact. And then once you export this into an engine, it will look just like this in the engine. We could take off edge faces, and I mean, it's not too bad, but I mean, this could be definitely, you know, something that's outside the map, sitting over here where we're not interacting. Yes, if I walk up to this tree in a game and look at this and see this mess here, yes, failure, because again, we did not do what we needed to do to make this look like a real tree. Of course, we would put leaves on it and such, or maybe it's not. Maybe it's a tree that's dead, or maybe it's the fall. But in any event, this is what you have to look forward to based on what you create and how you create it. I hope this helps. Thanks for watching.